Hi, I'm just sitting in my car, a little too early to get to work yet, and just left the grocery store to get some food for lunch, or whatever you call it in the middle of the night. I got an ear of corn, which I tend to eat raw, and that's just an old farm habit. I got a Mediterranean sandwich, which has like olives and tomatoes and goat's milk cheese in there, and I forgot what other greens are in it, and it's in a tomato wrap. Um, and then got some veggies to go with it, and an orange and a banana. Um, I thought I would talk about not specifically the topic of, somebody had mentioned to a new friend of mine on YouTube. We've decided to do weight loss stuff together in some respects. And I'll put a link to her channel in the crotch bar, as well as the source to what I'm going to just talk about. Somebody had mentioned to her about drinking a gallon of water a day, and to kind of help, not mostly to curb cravings. And I had brought up a thing that does exist. Sorry, somebody's headlights here. It's called water toxicity, and while it's not an extremely common occurrence, it can happen if you have an imbalance of electrolytes and you turn around and just chug a lot of water. They're finding this happens quite a bit with anorexics, especially who are using water to control their appetite. It can be fatal. I've had patients, plural, that have had this issue and ended up on very tight water restrictions after they had survived this incident. So it does happen. That being said, I'm not saying not to drink water. Somebody has misinterpreted that and saying now I'm confusing this person and I'm going to be causing all these problems. No, water is extremely helpful. Unfortunately, I can't drink a lot of, at once, and I certainly can't handle a gallon a day because it causes so much severe heartburn I end up throwing up. One of those things. I'm getting really sick of that, I'll tell you. But, you do want to have water. Some of the ways to handle it to make it more tolerable is to add things to the water. Now, most people will add sugar or add packets of Crystal Light or whatever. Some of the best ways that I've found to increase my water intake without upping sugar too much is sometimes I'll take sweetened pomegranate juice, and in a 2-quart container I'll put like a 1/4 cup of that in there, and then the rest water. Or I will take the 2-quart container and I'll put slices of lemon, orange, and lime in there and just let them sit overnight. Or lemon and cucumber and mint is another one that's really good. Let it sit overnight, and you can just keep adding water to that pitcher the whole next day if you wanted to. You're still going to get those flavors infused in the water. It makes you feel like you got something, and the mint especially is very stomach calming. The other thing that this does is it kind of adds the stuff that gets absorbed from the plant material that you put in there, so you're not getting just straight water. You're not just getting flavor. You're getting nutrients from the plant materials that you put in. Helps keep your electrolytes balanced a bit more. As far as cooking, I have suggested, because this friend of mine has the same issue I do, we're salt cravers, and that's very difficult, and especially for me it's difficult with my blood pressure. You want to come up with ways that you're using less salt, of course. Salt isn't bad for you in a lot of respects. You are supposed to have a certain amount of sodium, which is why when they draw your labs at a doctor, they do check your sodium levels. And this does help with cellular function, helps with cardiac function, things like that. Also is a good determinant of what your kidneys are kicking out. Are they keeping you in balance? That sort of thing. So sodium is necessary to a point. I prefer to be able to add it to my cooking and control exactly how much I'm putting in. So hence, in another video, I showed I use the pink table salt, or not pink table salt, goddess bless it. I don't use table salt, is what I was trying to say. I use the pink Himalayan salt, or I use sea salt. You're still going to get the salt, but the flavor profile's different. And it actually, I cook with it for other people too, and they don't notice that I don't use regular salt. The other things to help you curb the salt cravings and the desire to have more is to use very strong herbs. Parsley, if you get it fresh from the store, has a very distinct, powerful flavor to it, even if you add just a little bit into your cooking. Also, I grow oregano in my garden. I have a bunch that's dried. I use that. I use the dried rosemary I have from my garden from last year. Those are very strong, oily herbs, and they impart a lot of flavor. Another one that is very useful is bay leaf. You just can't eat the bay leaf, of course, but it does add such a nice flavor to your food. Stews and things like that, I also use leeks, and especially if I roast a chicken or stew a chicken, I will put leeks and bay leaf in there with it because it does sweeten the meat. Very good flavor to it. You want to experiment. I suggest, going to a farmer's market, if you have one available, or, just somewhere where they will let you taste what the different herbs are and see what things you like. And if you add these to your cooking, it is going to decrease your need for sodium, and it's going to decrease your craving for sodium, because you're going to get some other flavors in there. While kimchi has salt in it, it also has a lot of sour and a lot of bite, and there's chili in it and stuff like that. And I like to cook with kimchi because it gives that sting, whatever, that luscious bite to the tongue that makes you feel like you're getting something. And at that point, that's what you want to do, is you want to be able to feel like you're getting something. If you just are drinking the straight water and are able to tolerate that pretty well, one way to make sure that you're not going to have issues with water toxicity and electrolyte imbalance is to make sure that you get a good diet of a good amount of good greens every day. You're going to find that kale and spinach and lamb's quarter and amaranth are going to have minerals. They're going to have calcium in there. There's iron in these things. The flavors of these plants are very strong. You might have to mix them with a broth. You might have to, it's still okay to, people have this thing that it's not okay to boil things down. If you boil it down, save the water for something else. If you want to make pasta later, make it in that water that you use to boil down the vegetables. You're still going to get the nutrients that way, and you're still going to get nutrients that don't boil out of the vegetable. Otherwise, you can steam them, stuff like that. But, if you do find that a boiled vegetable is more palatable, that's certainly fine. I would reuse the water that you cook it in for other things. Very handy. So yeah, you want to vary your diet. Try to get a lot of things in there that are going to replace your nutrition back. And if you still have to take multivitamins, Swanson vitamins, and they're on the web. They have a really good one that is coconut based. It's vegan, it's not stomach upsetting, and it's a really good multiple vitamin. Even my doctor, who is a health nut, and he's climbed the mountains in the Andes and everything else, he likes that one too. He said that one is very, very good, and I trust the guy. I've known him since 92, so it's been a while. He got me into nursing school and stuff, and there are doctors you can trust out there that are very helpful. You just got to find them. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I didn't bring up water toxicity to scare somebody. I just want you to think about how you incorporate the extra water in your diet and ways to combat running low on electrolytes in the process, because the body, everything is in balance. Acid, base, potassium, sodium, everything has to be balanced in order for the body to function properly. And when you're trying to lose weight, which is in some forms causing malnutrition to get that weight off, because a lot of it comes from lowering your caloric intake or, increasing your calorie burn. You want to make sure not to set yourself in balance so that you don't get sick. That's all it is to it. I mean, it's just like you want to stay hydrated when you're out in the heat. It's that simple. And it's not overly complex. It is a changing of habits, which is what I'm trying to do myself. So anyway, I look forward to hearing from my new friend, and I got to get to work. You guys have a fantastic night. Blessed be everybody.